Welcome. It's appraisal season. Around all over the world, organizations are starting or have started, many organizations have started the process of looking at how the organization did in 2021, and quite a few are going ahead to create their strategic plans for 2022. And so, in the spirit of performance reviews, I thought we should talk about doing your own personal annual career review. All right. If we haven't met, my name is Ladi Gia. I'm a career coach and I work with mid to senior level professionals. I help um, I help mid to senior level professionals find amazing high paying jobs and manage their own career development. Okay, so today we're talking about creating your personal annual career review in 3 steps. First of all, before we go to um, the 3 steps, let's first answer the questions. What is a personal career review and why do you need one? Okay, so really, I mean, it's simple, right? It's really looking at what you've done with your career over the last 1 year. What have you achieved, right? Vis a vis what you set out to achieve. um, Deliberately tracking and optimizing your personal career plan or your personal career strategy. As I pointed out in my opening remarks, is much like your corporate annual review and strategy process. Now, if we bear in mind that each and every one of us is a business of one, right? So, I mean, you treat this as your 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 own mini organizational performance review and strategy. Okay. Now, for some people, this may be a bit of a, I mean, if you started out this year, right, with certain clear goals and documented goals for your career, bravo. But there are some people who didn't, who just had a sense in their mind of, well, here's what I'd really like to do this year without necessarily documenting them. Whichever category you fall into, this will still be useful for you, right? This is really an opportunity to step back and take stock, right, of your hits, your misses, and what you've learned in the last, well, 12 months. Okay. The key questions you're asking are, you know, I mean, did I meet my goals? How did I use my time? What have I learned, really, essentially? Okay. So let's go to step one. Step one, sorry, before I go to step one, the next question you would need to so we've said the what. Now let's talk to the why. Why do you need one? Right? Well, the very first reason you need one is that in making things happen, taking stock, right? Looking back and seeing what you've done and how far you've come is very illuminating. Looking back at what you've done gives you insight and context as to what you should do next. That's one. Then the other thing is, we spend the year working from day to day to day. Occasionally, when we make the hits, we celebrate briefly, right? And we go. But deliberately looking back over the year and stacking each of these, your wins, right? Everything you've done, first of all, it's affirming. It actually builds up and shows you a clear picture of progress over over the last 12 months. Is affirming. It helps you again realize just how far you've come, right, towards making your dream happen. um it also helps you take a really objective look at where you fell short and helps you see opportunities to adjust towards achieving your goal. Last but not least, taking the time out to do this exercise we are discussing now will help to give you focus, right? You won't let your career just happen to you. You will, and as much as possible, this is you taking control, right, of where your career is going and how and the direction in which you would like to grow personally. right? Um, so once you've taken stock, it helps you say, oh, this is what I'll do next. And of course, setting goals then gives you focus and momentum. So that's why you need one. So let's go to step one. And let me pause here and say, if you are watching, please feel free to make your comments. If you type in a comment wherever you're watching, in on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Twitter. Well, no, not on Twitter. You can see the live stream on Twitter, but sadly, we don't yet have the capability on Twitter to take on comments. But everywhere else, please feel free to put your comments. You will have to allow the app access to your profile, but if you do, then your comments and questions will appear here, and I can take them real time and answer your questions. So let's go back to our annual review exercise. So your very first step, of course, is to look back, right? The review step. And to look back, it's really reflecting on your accomplishments, right? um, you look back and ask yourself a few questions over the past year. As I said when I started, first is what went well? What did you accomplish? What were your wins during the course of the year, right? And in answering that question, describe but also quantify as much as possible, right? And it's not just the major wins, but even the smaller wins. For instance, for myself, aside from major wins being, I mean, of course, what are the things that I excelled at, but also what goals did I meet? In addition, even the smaller goals, things like doing this broadcast, for instance, I made a commitment, well, not at the beginning of the year, but from around March, to start to do these broadcasts every week, right? And I can beat my chest and say that I've done it every week, save for, I think I've missed two weeks, right? But I've put out content steadily every week for the past 1 year. By the end of this year, I should have, by the end of December 2021, I should have, I think, 46 um, different episodes of this. So that's one of my wins. It's a small win, but it's, important to me because um, I set out to do it. So both the big and the small, right? One of my biggest areas of review, for instance, is how much did I earn? How much did I earn? How much did I invest? That kind of a thing. So really look at what you've done with your career and answer those questions. What were your wins, right? And quantify them. And then, so the other thing to quantify is what did you do for yourself that you were really proud of, right? In terms of work wise, everything from what relationships did you build, who did you help, what training and certification, what difficult tasks, things like that. Really take time. And, we always say count your blessings. This one is count your accomplishments. All right. The other question you would spend time to answer is what didn't go so well. So we've answered what went well, right? It's important to capture what didn't go so well. Capture it and, well, why? Why didn't it go so well? Based on your own understanding. This is important, and you will see why. Because by the time you've answered all your questions and you've laid out, you know, all that has happened to you, you start to see where you need to focus. So, what didn't go so well? What goals didn't you meet? Were there any disasters? Did you recover from them? Note them down. Then the third big question to answer is how did you spend your time, right? Especially, at work and getting work done. What activities did you spend the most of your time doing, right? Did you spend most of your time on tasks or projects, and which tasks and projects? Or did you spend it most of the time in meetings, in brainstorming sessions, right? Or, doing analysis? Look back at how you've spent your time. This would be easier for those who actively use productivity tools like Outlook or Google Calendar, or even you can even look through your emails, right? What you're trying to do is recognize trends and patterns. For instance, for myself, I spent a lot of time doing consulting work, right? The kind of work I do consulting, I do coaching, um, I do training, right? And whilst my favorite part is training, I find that looking back, and I'm trying to change the ratio, but so far the ratio has remained steady. I've spent more of my time consulting this year, right, than coaching or training, and I'm working towards, improving for various reasons. So for yourself, look back at all your activities and say another question you want to answer with regard to time in terms of return, right? What was the best investment of your time this year? It could be with, of course, this has to do with your career. Was it in learning? Was it in a particular project or a particular type of activity? Was it in cultivating relationships? What was the best investment of your time? And conversely, also, what was the worst investment of your time, right? Then you want to also look at, what did you really enjoy doing? What did you absolutely not enjoy doing? What would you like to do more of? What would you like to do less of? Right? And then the final point of the review is, of that's now we're discussing looking back, is what did you learn? Right? Oh, thank you, Nora. I'm glad that you're finding it insightful. So the final thing is, what did you learn? What did you learn? um cuts across both in terms of formal learning. What training did I do, right? But more importantly, what did you learn from projects, from relationships, from people? What are the biggest insights that you gained this year? Once you've done that review process, you now go to step 2. Step 2 is now really looking at your current state. So, given where you're coming from, you haven't just been performing this year. You've also been learning. You've also been Your mind has been coming awake to other possibilities, right? So what you want to answer is, where am I now? I've checked where I'm coming from. Where am I now? What's really important now? And some of the questions you can ask yourself is, so in this coming year, what would I like to learn? Where do I need to grow? In what direction do I need to go? Based on, what I've seen in my review, right? What tasks, what projects, or what other work, would I like to spend more time on in the coming year? What would I like to, remember that my start, stop, continue. So, what would I like to start doing? What would I like to stop doing? What would I like to continue doing? um where are the biggest opportunities for me, right? You can answer all those questions. Now, one very good tool to use, we use it in coaching, is called the Wheel of Life. But such a good tool. It's also been adapted to what is called a career wheel. And what it does is, it divides your work life into 8 areas, right? And tells you to gauge your satisfaction with each area. And then when you do the map, it immediately shows you where you have the most satisfaction, where you have the least satisfaction, and all that information goes into your next phase, which is setting goals. Now, the career wheel. This is a really brief overview. Perhaps next week I will actually take the career wheel. Actually, I want to do SWOT analysis next week, but at some point in time, either next week or upper week, I will take the career wheel and walk you through how to do your career wheel. So, but that's just one way, right, of doing your current state analysis. You can simply answer the questions that I've just shared, or you can do the career wheel. I will also share a link below this video when I'm done, to a tool, a career wheel tool that explains, and then you can download um, a blank career wheel to use on your own. And you can start off doing that before I do the video covering career wheel. But anyway, step 2 is current state analysis. By the time you finish answering the questions in this area, you're quite clear about various areas of your career, where you are, how satisfied you are with them, and then you go to the next step. Your next step, your step 3, is goal setting, right? So your step 3 is goal setting. Given all that you have looked at from the past year and your analysis of your current state, it's time to then set, what are you going to accomplish next year in 2002. And again, there are several approaches to it, and I'm kind of doing a simplified. This is how we also do corporate planning, right? You check all the data, and have a clear picture of your current state, and then based on insights from there, plus you look at market conditions, you then set goals for your organization facing the incoming 12 months. Same principle, right? So using the lessons from, what we've just, your current state analysis, you then go ahead to set high level expectations for 2022. You can break it down to different levels. Now, first of all, the broadest one is, around purpose. Where do you want to focus your time and energy most in 2022? Ask yourself that question. Career wise, of course, ask yourself that question. Is it in earning more, or in growing some particular skill, or moving to a new geographical market, or moving to a new career type, or getting promoted? Just ask yourself the biggest thing, right? If you were to, because you've just done an analysis of what you spent your most time, the most of your time on in 2021. So where would you like to spend the most of your time, your resources, your energy, to achieve the biggest impact career wise for yourself in 2022? And you can, answer the question using simple formula, right? This year, that's 2022, my focus will be on, and you just simply say what it is, right? For me, for instance, my focus, I haven't done the full analysis, but I do think that my focus in 2022 will be on moving, my career drive more fully online, i.e., creating a platform where people can just come and access the resources, and properly organize. That's one big goal for me. My other big goal, right, is to start to actively refocus on my recruiting practice, right? Because I think they go together. Finding the employers, finding the employees, right? Putting them on a common platform so that we can continue to find each other work that works, more or less. So that's one big focus for me. There's a second focus, which is, I want to develop a specific set of skills for an area that I'm fascinated by. Um, um, agile agile HR, you know. But my biggest focus will be on what I've said before. What's yours? Think about it and set it, right? Now, there you can set a million goals, and looking at where you're coming from, the temptation will be, oh, this didn't go well, or there's this big opportunity to set. Don't set too many. Take 2 or 3 big goals, right? And really focus on them, quantify them, and then do an action plan to achieve them. Of course, in setting those big goals, your many sub goals will come. But just ask yourself, what first of all, I tend to answer this question on 2 levels. As I said, the one biggest thing, then I say 2 to 3 accomplishments in that order. And as you roll out your detailed planning, you will see why it's important to um, prioritize, right? So we're talking about goal setting. At this point, you have you some of the questions. Thank you, Dapo. Some of the questions you're answering when you're setting goals is, okay, so what 2 or 3 biggest things must I accomplish, right? You quantify them. What time must I accomplish them? What will I see? What measure? Standard, the way you do at work. What will I measure to know that I have? What's your picture of success, right? And then what resources and time will you need to accomplish them? Now, a very good tool to use, and we use it at corporate strategy level, but we've also, there's an adapted version for personal use. It's your personal SWOT analysis. Once you have determined your top 2 to 3, biggest goals that you want to accomplish in 2022, you then start to ask yourself various questions, right? Around, so what's my strength relative to where I've decided I'm going, right? What strengths do I currently have that will help me along the journey? Then what weaknesses, right? What are the things that I must, pay attention to and improve if I'm going to meet this my desired goal? And then what opportunities? So looking at the outside world, the market, my organization, could even be my family situation, right? Where are the opportunities that lend themselves to helping me make these goals that I have in mind happen quickly? For many people, right? Um, Technology and the digital revolution will represent a huge opportunity area. For instance, the fact that now, many more employers, global employers, are using talent from all over the world could represent, an opportunity for some. And maybe your goals around that could be, oh, get into remote working and earning dollars next year. Just as an example, for some people, oh, well, there's a huge opportunity to acquire these specific skills. Whatever it is, capture the opportunities. And the last quadrant is your threats. So what can stop me, right, from achieving these 2 to 3 goals that I've set? You do a thorough personal SWOT. Next week, this broadcast will be walking you through a personal SWOT analysis um, exercise, so that so next week is SWOT analysis. The week, or maybe I should invert it. Next week, let's do the personal, your career wheel for your current state analysis, and the week after, let's do a SWOT analysis. So that, I like to use frameworks because they help to provide structure. You can use simple questions and answers, which I'm sharing now, but it's great to use the tools as well. Again, after this broadcast, I will post links to introductory resources around doing a personal SWOT analysis and using the career wheel, and even walking through this process as well, so that you can try your hands on it before I come back and do, the broadcasts. So do your SWOT analysis, and what your SWOT analysis will immediately help you see is what actions you must then take, right, to get to your goals. And then that's when you go into action planning, which is the last bit of your goal setting. Now, action planning, of course, is for each goal, you need to, you're working back. So you need to say, in order to, for instance, get into remote working, what are the steps I need to do in order to get promoted? What are the 1, 2, 3, 4 things I need to do? Again, what do I need to do? How will I know that I've accomplished it? Whose help do I need, right, to accomplish it? Do I need to spend money to accomplish it? And then, of course, by the time you've done that, you would have your action plan for next year. All right, I'll stop for now, right? Hopefully, in listening through this, you have a clear idea, of how to go about conducting your annual review, and you really should do it. It's one of the most effective ways, right, for creating a high performing career, because if you are not really deliberately reflecting on what you are doing and consciously guiding, your actions around, how you're managing your career, you will not achieve your career goals. All right, so next week, career will, week after SWOT and analysis. Please join me at noon West African time on Thursday, every Thursday. Thank you again for listening. Now, if you have questions or feedback, feel free to, put it under the video. And as always, I'll be glad to answer. Take care and bye till next time.